On this episode, we got deers that look like human beings, we got ghosts in penitentiaries, and so much more. My name's Steve. This is Classified Captures. Why don't we get into it? A woman living near a wooded area stepped outside one night to take a simple photo, pointing a camera toward the tree line. She wasn't expecting anything unusual, she just wanted to show someone how far her outdoor lights reached into the woods. But when she looked at the picture, she froze. There was a face in the image. They ran the photo through a few filters to sharpen the details, and that's when the real shock hit. The face became clearer. Large, dark eyes, pale features, an expression that does not look human at all. It's uncomfortable to even look at it. And remember, she didn't set out to capture anything strange. She was taking a normal picture of a yard, yet somehow something was there. So how does a face like that end up in a photograph when no one is able to supposedly be out in those woods? Some people think it could be a spirit connected to the property, someone who once lived or died in the area. Others believe it might be something entirely different. What do you think she captured in that picture? Moving on, a witness in Kansas City shared this footage, and no one can fully agree on what we're looking at. On the side of a building late at night, there's a strange dark shape crouched low against the wall. When you zoom in, the outline almost looks like a figure with a head full of hair and horns. The entire shape is pitch black with no clear details, but you can see two shiny circles that look like eyes. And if you look closely, the head twitches slightly, which means whatever this is alive. The person who filmed it insisted it was not a moth, even though some people online tried to dismiss it as one. Others took it much further, suggesting it could be some kind of Mothman-type creature or something demonic. But there's also a much simpler possibility. This could be a light reflection creating the illusion of a creature on the wall. Perspective can play tricks on us, especially at night. Whatever it is, let's hope the person who filmed it never runs into it again.
What the heck? Is that a moth?
If the world could see every file the CIA has ever kept hidden, our understanding of reality would probably collapse overnight. And recently, one of those once classified programs were surfaced online. It's called the Gateway Process, and it was the CIA's attempt to study the true nature of consciousness. According to the documents, the conclusion was astonishing. The agency believed that reality, as we experience it, behaves like a hologram. The core idea behind the Gateway Process is that the human brain is not just a thinking organ. It acts more like a receiver that tunes into frequencies and energies beyond anything our physical senses can detect. In this model, the body becomes an avatar that limits how much of what information we can access. With specific techniques including deep meditation, altered states, and what they referred to as hemi-sync, the CIA believed people could tap into hidden layers of existence. Astral projection, out-of-body experiences, and heightened awareness were treated as legitimate possibilities, not fantasy. And this was coming from intelligence agencies and scientists who normally approach everything with intense skepticism. If they devoted years to exploring the idea that consciousness can operate beyond the physical body, it raises a much bigger question. How much of their findings could actually be real? Drivers out in California, especially on the highway near the Mojave Desert, have been stopping in their tracks after spotting something bizarre sitting right off the road. It's a dark structure with a massive spider at the center, and at first glance it looks unnerving. People were so stunned that many pulled their cars over just to film it. One witness walked all the way around to get a closer look and realized the entire thing was built like a sculpture made from bones and skulls. It feels like a piece of dog artwork, but no one could figure out why it was there, what message it was trying to send. Because of how unsettling it looks, people immediately started calling it a demonic portal or some kind of symbolic warning, and the mystery only grew when no one could identify who placed it there. Eventually, the truth surfaced. It was actually a promotional installation for the Game Awards in 2025. Not even with that explanation, many people are still scratching their heads, wondering what kind of game would use something this eerie as a teaser. At night, the spider's head glows with a molten red light and the tips of its legs drip with the same color. It's visually stunning, but it opens the door for plenty of theories. What do you think this strange desert sculpture is trying to say?
Alright, for everybody thinks it's AI, this ain't AI. I'm right here right now. It's not lit up right now, but as you can see, it's off the side of the road on Highway 62.
They were telling me the truth.
If you look, there's liquid dripping off the end, so that part of this paper, whatever they've got in there. So.
Strange encounters people share online. It doesn't take much for something to spark fear. So when a woman who lives near the Appalachians posted a video from an outdoor camera, it immediately grabbed attention. It was late at night, and a thick fog had settled around her property. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but then the fog began to move in heavy rolling waves, almost as if something was pushing through it. In the thickest part of the mist, a faint outline appeared. It looked like the shape of a head and shoulders standing completely still. There were no features, no face, nothing you could identify, just a silhouette that didn't resemble an ordinary person. Her concern wasn't out of nowhere either. Back in 2024, several towns in the United States experienced a strange fog that drifted in and out of nowhere. When people started testing it, they found dangerous chemicals inside. So when she saw the dense fog was around her home that night, she was already on edge. Discovering a hidden figure within it just made things worse. Now everyone is wondering the same thing. Was this figure somehow connected to the fog, or was something else standing there in the mist? Well, I mentioned Stephen King last week. Now I'm mentioning James Herbert. Maybe this guy is some kind of writer-seer. And he writes novels, and then suddenly, 20, 30, 40 years later, we end up with it actually happening. Who knows? A man was at home when he noticed something shifting behind the fence. His property is surrounded by thick trees and dense brush, so spotting movement there was already unusual. But when he looked closer, it seemed like someone was trying to push their way through the greenery. He grabbed his camera and followed the movement until he finally caught a clear look. That was the moment a face appeared behind the branches. When he zoomed in, you could see the pale, dirty feature staring back. It looks almost human, but the rest of the body stays hidden behind the brush, leaving the entire situation on edge. According to him, the figure wasn't standing, it was crawling on all fours. That alone raised doubts about whether this was an ordinary person. Some believe it could be someone living in the woods, while others think it might be a trespasser or a homeless wanderer. But the way it moved, the way it stayed low, and the way it blended itself into the brush made it feel like something entirely different. These types of sightings often line up with stories of crawlers or forest beings that resemble humans only at first glance. When witnesses describe pale figures that move close to the ground, avoid open spaces, and disappear the moment you try to understand what you're seeing, well, this encounter shares those same unsettling details. Without a full view of the body, we're left to piece the mystery together ourselves. What do you believe was hiding in those trees?
Look, dude, she couldn't find her way over there, so now she's over here. She's back in here trying to find her way into my property. Do you see her? Look at that face. Oh my god. It's right there staring at me. Dude, how scary is that shit? Oh my god, dude. What the She's crawling through all this shit, bro.
A group of girls went out to enjoy a Christmas light show in New Mexico. They were taking photographs, laughing, and soaking in the moment. Nothing strange happened while they were there. The surprise came later after they got home and started scrolling through the pictures. In one photo, there are 5 girls posing together, but in the bottom left corner, there's a 6th face in the frame. When you zoom in, it becomes even more unsettling. You can only see the upper half of the face, pale skin, dark hair falling forward, and an expression that looks blank and lifeless. None of the girls remembers anyone standing near them. No one walked past, no one photobombed. They insist it was just the 5 of them. This raises a disturbing question. What did the camera actually capture? Some people think it might have been an unnoticed person, while others believe it was something entirely different. Many online viewers pointed out that the face looks like a full-body apparition forming in the middle of the photograph, which might explain why only part of it appears and why it looks so unnaturally pale. There are also theories about reflections or camera glitches, but the girls insist no one else was around, which leaves us wondering, who or what was the 6th face looking back at them? It's one thing to walk into a hospital and deal with strange activity inside the building. It's another thing entirely to arrive with your own car, lock it, and later discover something sitting inside it. A man experienced this after rushing his wife to the emergency room. He walked in with her, left the car locked, and returned a short while later to grab something. That was when he noticed a figure sitting in the passenger seat. At first, he assumed it was just an intruder, but as he got closer, he realized this was not a normal person. Through the window, he saw a pale face with long hair. The figure appeared to move slightly, and that was when he said an unsettling feeling washed over him. He even showed his arms covered in goosebumps, but the moment he reached the car and opened the door, the seat was empty. He checked the back, the front, everywhere. There was no one. The footage made it clear he did not stage any of this. People who watched the video were left disturbed and confused. The real question becomes what he actually saw and how something like that appeared in a locked vehicle. To make things even more unsettling, there have been no update on the condition of his wife. Some believe the figure could be connected to her situation, but none of that has been confirmed. This leaves us with the mystery of whatever entered the car. What do you think happened here?
Estamos en este momento en el microhospital, escuchamos un golpe y nos dimos vuelta porque dijimos, bueno, ¿quién está entrando? Cuestión de que no hay nadie atrás nuestro. Y miramos dentro del auto y dijimos, oh, pues el auto, qué mierda es. Lo peor de todo es que no queremos salir. Un miedo, la puta madre. No, huevo. A ver. Ya, salimos rápido para que vean que no es mentira. Mamá, la piel de gallina, hermano. Piel de gallina. Cagazo. Nadie.
This footage has been shocking a lot of people, and it comes from a man who spent years telling his neighbors that aliens and UFOs appear around his yard and on his property. No one ever believed him, not until he shared this clip online. Late one night, he noticed something standing near a tree in his yard. He grabbed his camera, zoomed in, and that's when the shape came into view. Behind the branches, a figure is staring straight through the gaps in the trees. You can clearly make out a pale head with large dark eyes, and from the height of the head compared to the tree, whatever this is appears to be very tall. As he continues filming, the figure slowly pulls back into the darkness, almost as if it realizes it's been spotted. Some people insist it's just an illusion created by shadows and branches. Others believe he might have captured an alien watching him from the tree line. What do you think he recorded that night? Have you ever picked up something from a thrift store and wondered what kind of history it carries? Some people swear that second-hand objects hold more than memories. They believe these items soak up energy from whoever owned them, and that energy follows the next person who takes them home. Whether you believe that or not, the stories like this one make you think twice. A woman walked into a thrift shop and noticed a Bible on display. Before she could reach for her wallet, the owners told her she could have it for free, no charge at all. That alone was unusual, especially for something many Christians consider sacred, but she took it anyway. Once she got back to her car, she opened the Bible and froze. Every page was printed backwards and upside down. To read it properly, you had to flip the book around and drag your eyes from left to right. It did not look like a simple printing mistake. It felt intentional. She set the Bible on her dashboard and started driving, trying not to overthink it. But only minutes later, her car suddenly broke down. That was the moment her instincts kicked in. She said she felt an overwhelming urge to get rid of the book because something about it felt wrong. When she later shared her story, people had their own theories. Some believed it was cursed, others thought it might have been created for a ritual of symbolic purposes. A few Christians even called it an act of disrespect. It might explain why the shop owners were so eager to hand it off. Within paranormal circles, many claim that objects can cling to the emotions or intentions of past owners. And if that's true, then a reversed Bible giving away for nothing and followed immediately by car trouble starts to look less like chance and more like a message. Whether it was a curse or a coincidence, well, that's for each person to decide, but one thing is certain. Some objects do not just sit on shelves. They linger, they wait, and sometimes they choose who picks them up. I love thrift stores, antique shops, anything like that. There's an atmosphere inside it, don't you believe? Every time you walk into places like that, you just soak up the history. Man, I could spend hours in those places. Decades ago, a strange video appeared online and immediately sent shivers through anyone that watched it. A man had been strolling through the woods, taking in the quiet, when he spotted a small herd of deer in the distance. Wanting to capture the peaceful moment, he pulled out his camera. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then one deer did something that felt completely out of place. While the man filmed, a single deer slowly rose onto its hind legs, not for a quick second or two, but long enough to look unsettlingly human. It stood tall, balanced, and still, holding a posture no deer should ever be able to maintain. Deer may rear up briefly when fighting or reaching for food, but they do not stand upright with that kind of stability. The man noticed it instantly. His camera began to shake as fear set in, and within moments the footage cut off. Whether he backed away or ran, well, we never see. All we're left with is that eerie image and a flood of unanswered questions. Over the years, people have tried to explain what he recorded. Some claim he caught a skinwalker in the middle of transforming. Others believe certain supernatural entities mimic animals, and this one had not fully shifted when the man arrived. A more grounded group insists it was simply a deer acting strangely, even though the posture seems unnervingly precise for that. After watching the clip, many agreed on one thing. Whatever that creature was doing, it didn't move the way a normal deer moves. And that leaves us with a mystery that refuses to fade. A moment frozen in grainy footage that still makes people wonder what was really standing in those woods. Halloween is long gone, which means most people have already swapped out the spooky decorations for Christmas cheer. Reindeer, fairy lights, angels, Santa Claus, all the usual sights. That's why one woman was completely thrown off when she got home and found something strange hanging right outside her window. Concerned, she pulled out her camera and hit record. In the footage, this odd figure suddenly drops straight to the ground. The moment it lands, it darts forwards towards her with such speed that she nearly stumbles backward. At first glance, it looks like some kind of creature, maybe even a bug, but the appearance is unsettling. Its movements feel almost animated. It has a human-like shape, and some viewers swear they can see small horns sticking out. The figure seems wrapped in fur or a dark cloak, and the blur of its movement makes it even harder to identify. Online theories started pouring in. Some people insist it's just a moth, but if that's the case, then this would be an enormous moth for it to appear at that size on camera. Others are convinced it's AI generated. But the story gets stranger because this is not the first time people have encountered something like this. There was another sighting not long ago filmed on a street wall, and the creature in that clip looked almost identical. Whatever these figures are, they keep appearing in different corners of the United States, leaving people with a growing sense of curiosity and a lingering question that no one has been able to answer. AI is no longer a futuristic concept. It's everywhere, quietly reshaping industries and taking over tasks humans used to handle. Many companies already rely on AI systems for efficiency, but researchers are now pushing the boundaries in ways that make people feel uneasy. At the University of Pennsylvania, scientists have developed an AI program capable of scanning your face, reading your mood, analyzing your personality traits, and then deciding whether you're a good fit for a job. This system studies micro-expressions, those tiny facial movements we barely notice. It evaluates how relaxed you appear, how confident you seem, and even how trustworthy you look. Then, based on these subtle signals, the AI determines if you match the company's requirements. The troubling part? Even if you have all the right qualifications and experience on paper, you could still be rejected simply because the AI does not detect the right traits. The implications are unsettling. Suddenly it feels like a machine is judging your worth, and if this becomes the standard, humans may lose the chance to explain themselves or defend their abilities. Critics warn this could lead to a world where a computer shapes your opportunities, your income, and even your career path. Others argue that such a system is vulnerable to manipulation or bias that might go completely unnoticed. This raises a crucial question. In a world where AI can see into your mind before you even speak, how much control do we really have over our own futures? A group of friends were hanging out at night in a wooded area when they began hearing a strange sound echoing through the trees. One of them decided to joke around and made a bizarre noise of his own. A few seconds later, the exact same sound came back at them from deep inside the forest. They tried it again, and once more the noise was repeated. Something out there was copying them. The unsettling part was that they could not see anything moving except for a faint shape off to the right, tucked between the trees. It looked like a small figure standing still in the darkness, but the distance and the shadows make it impossible to identify. This taps into a popular topic online about forests and the creatures said to live in them. Many people talk about entities that mimic human voices or sounds to lure people closer. Some call them mimics, described as hidden beings that repeat whatever you say. Those who believe in them warn never to respond because the creature uses your answer to pinpoint exactly where you are. In this video, all we have is a shadowy shape and a haunting call that mirrors the sound the friends made. They chose not to move any closer, and whatever was in the woods stayed where it was. It leaves us wondering what truly answered them that night. A mimic, an animal with an unusual call, or something deeper in the forest using the darkness to play tricks on anyone who listens.
Wait, do it again.
Yeah.
Watch, it won't. Do it again.
Yeah.
It's an O. Bug, you might be right.
That is not a owl.
That's not do it one more time.
Yeah.
Day in and day out, people keep doing things that leave us more confused than ever. And sometimes there is simply no explanation that makes sense. A man was driving down the street when someone noticed something odd about his car. He was alone in the front seat, but the real shock came when the camera zoomed in on the passenger side. Sitting there were 3 figures. At first glance, they looked like people, but a closer look showed they were not human at all. They were dolls, and not the usual kind. These were stuffed, posed, and arranged as if they were real passengers riding with him. Of course, everyone has the freedom to live however they choose, and the man may have his own reasons for this, but it raises a serious question. Why fill your car with dolls arranged like companions? What purpose does that serve? What story is he trying to create inside that vehicle? The situation immediately reminded people of a disturbing case from Russia some years back. A man had been found driving around with actual corpses dressed as dolls. He positioned them in seats, moved them around, and treated them like passengers. It became one of the most chilling cases ever reported. And while the current video is nowhere near that level of horror, the visual similarity is enough to make anyone uneasy. It makes you wonder what goes on in the minds of people we pass every day on the road, and how much we truly understand about the behavior of strangers we'll never meet.
Maybe where he lives, they have to have more than one person or 2 people for the carpool lane. I would do it.
A mom was left shaken after her 4-year-old son made a chilling prediction out of nowhere. The boy looked at her and confidently announced that the world was going to flood. Then he described the ocean pulling back and a massive wall of water wiping everything out. Hearing that from a child who should be talking about toys and cartoons is deeply unsettling. Throughout history, stories about great floods appear again and again. The Bible describes one. Ancient civilizations have their own versions passed down through generations. Even today, there's a man in Nigeria calling himself the second Noah who's building an ark because he believes another global flood is on the way. End-of-the-world predictions are nothing new. Some have caused panic, others faded without a trace, and a few were strange enough to grab attention before disappearing from conversation. But this situation feels different. This is a child with no known exposure to any of these ideas, suddenly speaking with detail and certainty about a worldwide flood. It raises a difficult question. Is this just imagination running wild, something he accidentally overheard? Or is there a deeper reason behind a 4-year-old making a prophecy that sounds far too mature for his age?
Well.
So what were you just telling me though?
Oh yeah. There's gonna be a tsunami and flood, but they call it the flood 2.0. And there's gonna be a wave and there's gonna be a tsunami and a flood.
Yeah.
With the digital economy expanding at lightning speed, the demand for data centers is skyrocketing in every major city. Some experts now believe that stadiums could become some of the most profitable and strategic facilities in the near future. Consider the size of a stadium and the amount of unused space beneath it. Imagine turning that underground area into a fully functional data center. Stadiums already generate an enormous amount of information. Every game or concert draws thousands of people, bringing with them tickets, biometric scans, facial recognition data, security footage, and countless other forms of personal information. All of this happens in a very short time span. Building a data center beneath the stadium would allow that information to be processed instantly, reducing distance, increasing speed, and enhancing security. Some believe this could change how cities operate, turning stadiums into digital hubs. It's no longer about just storing data. Such a facility could track, analyze, and gather information on a scale that most people don't even realize. It leaves you wondering how integrated our cities could become when places of entertainment double as the backbone of the digital world. A woman was sitting alone by a creek, hoping for a quiet moment to herself. She had her phone recording the scenery while she relaxed on the ground. Everything seemed peaceful until a faint voice suddenly said, "Hey." It was soft, close, and unmistakably directed at her. The moment she heard it, she whipped a camera around because she felt someone standing right behind her. But when she turned, there was no one in sight. She tried to ignore the feeling and stayed a little while longer, but the tension would not go away. Eventually, she packed up and headed home. Later, as she reviewed the footage, she noticed the same hey again. This time, she listened more carefully. It was not coming from someone approaching or walking nearby. It sounded like it came from right over her shoulder, as if someone had leaned in to speak directly to her. Yet both in the moment and on the recording, there was no visible person anywhere. This raises an unsettling question. Who spoke to her? And how did a voice get that close without a single trace of someone being there? Some believe it could have been a person hidden just outside the camera frame. Others think she captured something far stranger than a human visitor. Whatever it was, the voice in that quiet moment by the creek leaves a mystery that is difficult to explain.
Y'all, a cigarette right now? I don't even smoke cigarettes, but it warm you up, you know? I'm fucking cold. I felt like there was somebody behind me, but I'm cold. I felt like there was somebody behind me, but
One of the most believable places to catch real ghost stories is obviously a hospital. I always say this, but there's another category of locations that might hold even stronger paranormal energy, and that is penitentiaries. These buildings were created to contain people who lived through some of the darkest and harshest experiences imaginable. Many of them are abandoned today or turned into tourist destinations, but the energy inside does not disappear. Years of fear, violence, punishment, and isolation leave a mark, and the moment you step inside, you can feel it in the air. A woman decided to explore one of these old penitentiaries. She walked around like any other visitor, taking pictures and admiring the eerie architecture. At one point, she snapped a photograph and moved on, thinking nothing of it. But later, as she scrolled through her camera, something in that image stopped her cold. Standing inside the frame was a figure covered in a cloak from head to toe. No face, no visible features, just a full cloak and a human shape. The problem is that she had been completely alone when she took the picture. It leaves a haunting question behind. Who was standing there in that abandoned penitentiary if no living person was with her? Ever since humans first looked beyond Earth, Mars is seen as the most likely place for us one day to call home. Countless missions have studied its surface, its atmosphere, and its potential to support life. Companies like SpaceX have pushed these efforts even further, sending probes, satellites, and research craft to learn as much as possible. But what if Mars is not the only option? What if there is another world out there that could be even better? Astronomers have been studying a planet called LHS 1140b, and it stands out for several reasons. From a distance, the planet resembles a giant eyeball with a dark central pupil surrounded by lighter areas. Scientists believe the darker region could be a liquid ocean, possibly covering a huge portion of the planet's surface. Research suggests that LHS 1140b might have the right kind of atmosphere to support life, even human life, under the right conditions. Its temperature range, potential for liquid water, and stable atmosphere make it one of the most promising exoplanets discovered so far. While Mars may remain our first stop, this strange eyeball planet could one day offer humanity an even greater chance to thrive beyond Earth. This next video was shared by a group of girls just casually Snapchatting back and forth. One of them recorded a quick clip and sent it to a friend. Nothing unusual, but the friend immediately replied with a strange question. Who's that in the room with you? Confused, the girl went back to watch her own footage, and that's when she saw it. In the corner of the frame, there was a pale figure, almost like a girl crawling across the carpet. The posture was completely unnatural. Her limbs bent at odd angles, moving in a way no normal person would. And the terrifying part? She swears she was home alone. No one else was there. With clips like this, people usually jump to terms like spirit, apparition, or entity. Some say these things imitate human movement, but can never quite get it right, which is why the body looks distorted or wrong. Others believe it's a form of residual energy replaying itself, especially when the motion seems repetitive or mindless. In this case, she has absolutely no explanation. What exactly did she capture on camera that night? Was it a ghost, or is there something else happening that we don't fully understand? Have you been paying attention to what people in Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia are talking about lately? Something strange is happening in the skies, and the stories are getting harder to ignore. Residents across these states say they've seen objects dropping from above, not streaking across the sky like shooting stars, but falling straight down as if they were glowing fireballs. Witnesses claim that when these fireballs hit the ground, the earth itself seems to tremble. A few people say they even caught it on camera, though the footage is too blurry to prove anything for sure. Events like this always spark questions. Are we just dealing with fragments of meteors breaking apart in the atmosphere? Could it be space debris making its way back to Earth? Or is something happening in the region that has not been explained yet? Throughout history, sightings like this have always lived in the space between science and suspicion. Scientists point to meteor showers and asteroid fragments as the most likely explanations. Others wonder whether these are controlled objects entering the atmosphere or signs of experiments the public has not been informed about. At the moment, there's no official answer. All anyone has are accounts of people who say the sky lit up, the fireballs dropped, and the ground shook on impact. Whatever's happening out there is capturing the attention of everyone who hears about it and leaving them with more questions than answers. Am I the only one wondering what's going on here? Not sure if you can tell, but we've got a man standing in front of his car, shaking a pale creature that looks almost humanoid. As he lifts it, another larger creature crawls towards him from the woods, picking up a stick in a threatening manner. Call me a skeptic, but these creatures look like humans who have painted themselves white. But why? I suspect they could be thieves who orchestrated this whole act to get the man out of his car. The idea is that the one who emerged would rush into the car and drive off while the man was distracted. Unfortunately, we didn't see the end of the footage, so we can't be sure. But if you were in this situation, what would you do? How would you react to these strange pale figures? Share your thoughts and strategies in the comments below. This footage was taken by a resident in an apartment from across the street. It shows a humanoid creature that's slightly crouched and dancing uncaringly on the pavement. The creature's movements are fluid but unsettling, with an almost eerie grace. Its limbs bend and twist in ways that seem unnatural for a human, and its overall appearance is strange and otherworldly. The creature looks out of place, like it doesn't belong in the everyday urban setting. The way it moves with no apparent concern for its surroundings adds to the surreal quality of the scene. The resident who captured the footage zoomed in to get a better look, and the details are both fascinating and creepy. The creature's skin appears smooth, almost too smooth, and its proportions are slightly off compared to a typical human. Is this a real creature, or could it be a hoax, or perhaps a highly advanced animatronic? Some viewers speculate that it might be a being from another dimension or a mythical entity. Others suggest it could be a performance artist in a very convincing costume. What do you think? These friends were walking at night when they noticed something strange in the window of an odd, eerie-looking old building. It was the shadowy figure of some kind of entity standing there watching. According to them, this building was constructed way back in 1915, and with a structure that old, you just know there's bound to be some paranormal activity. But here's where it gets even creepier. This building was once a hospital, and we all know hospitals are a hotspot for ghosts. Now, the place is supposed to be abandoned, so where did this mysterious humanoid figure come from? Some believe it's an entity that has haunted the building for years, a lingering spirit trapped within its walls. But then again, given the state of the place, could it just be a homeless person seeking shelter, or maybe even a security guard? What do you think? Is it a paranormal presence or just an unexpected guest?
No, those are arms.
Oh my god! Oh my god, it's a real person.
No, those are arms now. No, those are arms.
On the night of January 31st, 2025 in Alaska, two witnesses encountered something strange. A series of mystical beams of light descended from the sky, stretching down like pillars into the frozen landscape. These glowing shafts surrounded them, casting an otherworldly glow across the snow. It looked unreal, almost supernatural. When they shared the footage, the internet went wild. Some believed it was a sign from the heavens, others thought it could be a portal opening, and of course, many jumped straight to extraterrestrials. But here's the disappointing truth. This is actually a natural phenomenon. What they witnessed were light pillars, an optical illusion caused when tiny ice crystals in the atmosphere reflect light from the ground, creating vertical beams that seem to float in the sky. Given the icy terrain in the footage, the freezing temperatures made perfect conditions for this to occur. So while this may look otherworldly, sometimes the most astonishing sights have an explanation right here on Earth.
So I'm in Alaska and I'm genuinely terrified. What the is this?
A home security camera set outside a building overlooking the city captured something remarkable. It was late at night when, out of nowhere, a bright flash of light illuminated everything, then vanished just as suddenly. As soon as the flash occurred, the lights went out and then came back on almost immediately after the flash disappeared. If you look closely at the left side of the footage where the light flashes, you'll notice a beam of red light fading away. What could this have been? Most people might assume it's a transformer blowing, but considering how it lit up the sky and everything around, it seems to be something else entirely. Some believe that this is evidence of alien activity, speculating that the bright flash and the red beam of light are not of earthly origin. The sudden and intense nature of the light, coupled with the power outage, adds an air of mystery to the event. What do you think? Could this be a mundane electrical issue, or is there a chance that it's something more extraordinary? Next, we've got a fish that could be best described as a candidate for the Finding Nemo mission. This footage was allegedly captured and emphasized on allegedly by a deep-sea adventurer who came across this rather unique creature during his exploration. It's a fish that has two faces, one in the usual place at the head and another where the tail is supposed to be. The second face, though non-functional, gives this fish an extraordinarily peculiar appearance. Such an odd fellow. This adventurer was astounded to find this bizarre fish, which looked like something out of a science fiction movie. Its strange anatomy makes it a fascinating subject for marine biologists and enthusiasts alike. What could cause a fish to develop such an unusual feature? Is it a rare genetic mutation, or perhaps an adaptation to its deep-sea environment? Aaron, for the first time in history, thinks this is AI, but what do you guys think? A resident was inside their home when they heard some commotion from the neighbor's house. They went to investigate and found this strange scene. They saw a pair of animal-like legs with an upper torso being chased by a dog. The resident quickly started recording what they saw on their mobile phone. As the entity moved behind a trash can, it suddenly vanished. What in the world could this be? Was it an alien creature, a supernatural entity, or something else altogether? While some speculated that it could be the result of good CGI, the residents insist that what they had filmed was real. What do you think? During his cave exploration, the man spotted a peculiar fossil that caught his attention. As he moved closer, he realized that it was a saucer-shaped object stuck in a massive rock. After conducting a thorough examination, the experts confirmed that the fossil was, in fact, a UFO that had been buried for over 5 million years. The discovery of this ancient UFO has sparked a lot of interest and curiosity amongst scientists and the public alike. At least, that's what the individual who sent this clip in said. I've combed online resources and I can't seem to find any credible information. Also, this UFO is rather too small unless the aliens are tiny little buggers. But what do you guys think? This is allegedly happening in India. Residents of West Delhi have all reported an unusual phenomenon. Instead of water, a blue foamy liquid has been coming from their taps. No one knows for sure what this could be. Some speculate that it might be factory waste that has somehow seeped into the water system. The idea that industrial pollutants could contaminate the local water supply is concerning and raises many questions about safety and regulation. Authorities are investigating the cause, but until they provide a clear explanation, the residents are left with this mysterious and alarming situation. What do you think could be the reason for this strange blue liquid? Next, we've got another strange phenomenon, but this time it's a natural one.
What is that?
Did you hear those sounds? The lady recording this video had been hearing strange sounds from the sky. It sounded like thunder, but at the same time, it didn't. She's a 7th generation Floridian, according to her, and she's never heard anything like this. She took to one of our paranormal platforms to share her experience, and sure enough, people were ready with all sorts of theories. The firmament theory showed up. It was not the only one, though. Some suggested that it might be high-tension power lines. I have my theories too, but this time I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think?
What is that?
Ever had one of those moments where you knew that your life was on the line? Well, here we have footage recorded from the GoPro camera on a biker's helmet. While riding on a path in the woods, he was spotted by a grizzly bear. I'm guessing the bear was curious about the biker, or it was really hungry because it gave the biker a hot chase, not even backing down for a second. Don't underestimate bears because of their size. They are very good runners. The bear chased the biker, still not giving up. Unfortunately, the biker came to a path that was blocked by a tree branch, and judging by the speed of the bear, it could catch up to him. So he got off the bike and ran as fast as he could. We don't know what happened after that, but it seems the biker got out of there safely. Here we have another footage of dinosaurs that was taken on a farmland. In the footage, we can see a little girl running around with what looks like tiny dinosaurs. The footage, when inspected, has no signs of editing or CGI, meaning that it's legit. I don't know how to feel about the dinosaurs living among us. We all know what happened in Jurassic World. Though it was a movie, how things played out will not be any different if dinosaurs are indeed amongst us. Do we even have the technology to protect ourselves from them? So here we are, caught between awe and a healthy dose of caution. What's your take on this mini dino spectacle? Are we witnessing the dawn of a dino era, or is this just a quirky moment in the annals of farmland adventures? This next footage was retrieved from a trail camera. The owner of the footage had set up the camera in the woods to track wildlife in the area, but instead, he came across something entirely unexpected. A strange man emerged from the darkness. His chest was thrust outwards, facing upwards, while his arms were awkwardly positioned behind him, pointing downward. His head was also tilted back, as if something was pulling him upwards by his chest. Occasionally, he let out these strange sounds that echoed through the forest. No one knows who this man is or what could be going on there. However, Aaron speculates that this man could be a skinwalker, given his odd behavior. Skinwalkers are mythical creatures from Native American folklore, often described as beings with the ability to transform into animals or other people, typically exhibiting bizarre and unsettling behaviors like this. So is that the case here, or are we simply looking at a man having seizures? This strange creature was found in the murky waters. Someone spotted it moving in calculated steps. It looks odd. Only a part of the creature was visible on the water's surface. It has smooth skin, and it looks like the tentacle of an octopus, but it's hard to tell if this is an actual octopus because the water is very murky. The way it moves, with deliberate and almost mechanical precision, adds to the mystery. Could it be an octopus, or is it something else entirely? The murky water makes it difficult to identify, and its smooth, almost seamless surface gives it an otherworldly appearance. Some speculate it could be a previously undiscovered species. Some say it could be a river monster, but skeptics think this is just a hoax. You've seen it too, so what say you? A man woke up in the middle of the night to a strange sound coming from his storage room. At first, he thought it might be an intruder, so he cautiously went to check it out. But what he saw was something far more unsettling. Inside the dimly lit storage room, he spotted a small figure moving across the floor, quickly darting behind a box. Whatever it was not human. Shocked and terrified, he didn't stick around. He turned and left the room immediately. But curiosity got the best of him. Later, he took a better look at the footage again, and that's when things got even creepier. As he zoomed in on the footage, he realized this wasn't a creature at all. It was a doll. One of his child's old dolls had been packed away in storage after she outgrew them. Mind you, it is a lifeless, stuffed with cotton doll that had no reason and ability to move on its own. And yet there it was, walking. How do you explain that? This video was taken by a man who was home with his family when he heard strange noises coming from the front door. Curious and concerned, he opened the door to check, and that's when he saw a dark figure moving towards the roof. Now, the front door opens into an alleyway, which already isn't the safest setup to begin with. Realizing something or someone was climbing up there, the man quickly told his daughter to grab her phone and check from upstairs. This next clip shows the daughter recording as she enters the upstairs bedroom. She walks toward the window, parts the curtains, and just as she looks out, she jumps back. A terrifying face is staring right back at her from the other side of the glass. It wasn't just an ordinary face, it looked unnatural, eerie, and unsettling. The girl immediately screams, panics, and shuts the curtain. The camera cuts there, but according to the family, when she gathered the courage to check again, the figure was gone. At first, they assumed it was an intruder, but the way it looked, moved, and disappeared made them question that theory. Was it a person in a mask, a paranormal entity, or something else entirely?
Oh my god! What is that?
There are a lot of hybrid creatures around, like the mule and others, that look quite reasonable in their mixture. Now take a look at this footage taken back in 1972. It shows a horse-like creature with a very long neck. Well, not as long as a giraffe, but still quite prominent. The face of the creature, however, looks like that of a kangaroo or some other marsupial. Could this be a case of a mixture between a horse and a kangaroo, or is it something else entirely? The footage is intriguing. The creature's posture is graced like a horse, yet its elongated neck and kangaroo-like face make it look unlike anything commonly known. The proportions are unusual, blending the features of two very different animals. Hybrid creatures do exist, but they usually come from closely related species. For example, mules are a cross between horses and donkeys, which belong to the same genus. Horses and kangaroos, however, are from entirely different taxonomic families, making a natural hybridization between them virtually impossible. Anyone with an explanation? Don't call me a skeptic, but isn't it funny we have a video this old with such amazing quality, but struggle with our alien clips from just a decade ago? Well, this is my cue to move on to the next clip. This is definitely a cowfish, at least that's what I would call it based on its appearance. It's a fish with the head of a cow, a truly bizarre and fascinating creature. But don't worry, this isn't some strange new species discovered in the depths of the ocean. It's AI-generated, a product of advanced algorithms designed to create imaginative and surreal images by blending features of different animals. The cowfish is a perfect example of the incredible potential of AI in art and creativity. By combining the familiar and the fantastical, AI can generate images that challenge our perceptions and spark our imaginations. What do you think? The cowfish may not be real, but it certainly gets us thinking about the endless possibilities of AI. Antarctica has been the center of many conspiracy theories, ranging from it being the hollow Earth's center to aliens living there and more. However, no concrete evidence has ever been provided to support or debunk these claims. Recently, this image surfaced, allegedly from Antarctica, showcasing a hidden ancient city concealed beneath the icy walls. The settlement's impressive architecture has grabbed the attention of many, but the question remains, is this true? After conducting some research, we discovered that the image was just a painting and not a real photograph. This woman was out in the woods digging something out of the ground when out of nowhere she suddenly fell over and tumbled down. Now here's where things get strange. She wasn't moving erratically, she wasn't rushing, she was just standing there. But the way she fell, well, that doesn't add up. It almost looks like something pulled her down, but there's nothing there. No one around, no visible force, nothing. Some believe it could be a paranormal force, maybe even a spirit lurking in the woods. Others think there might have been an invisible tripwire or a root that caused her to fall. But the way she goes down is unnatural, almost too sudden, too precise. So what do you think? Was this just an accident, or was something else at play? Back in the 1970s, Soviet scientists began drilling what would become the deepest hole ever dug into the Earth. The goal was to reach the Earth's mantle. They never quite made it, but what they did achieve is still mind-blowing. This hole, known as the Kola Super Deep Borehole, goes down an astonishing 12 kilometers, or about 7.5 miles. That's deeper than any ocean trench. But what's eerie isn't just how deep it goes, it's what people claim to have experienced there. Recently, this video started making the rounds online. In it, some men light a piece of paper or fabric on fire and drop it into a massive, gaping hole in the ground. The flames trail downwards, disappearing into the darkness until they're no longer visible. It almost looks like the fire is being swallowed by the earth itself. Many people assumed this was the Kola Super Deep Borehole, but it's not. The real Kola borehole was sealed up years ago with a heavy bolted metal plate, and it's much smaller than the one in the video. It's just wide enough for equipment, not big enough to throw yourself into like the one shown online. So while the video is definitely creepy, it's not the infamous Soviet deep drilling site. Still, the real Kola borehole remains one of the most fascinating and mysterious scientific efforts ever developed.
Okay. Drop it down. Oh. Still going too. Which hole did you go down to?
It's been a while since I saw a clip I completely didn't have any explanations or theories for. Not sure if you can see it, but the branches and trees in this clip are just bending and breaking off. It's almost as though an invisible force was doing that, but, well, that's not possible or realistic, right? Right? That's exactly what I thought. So what do you guys think is going on here? Can any of you explain?
Let's go! Let's go! Right, sitting on the back of the plane. Y'all probably think I'm insane. Probably think I'm doing this for fame.
We often hear that abandoned places are some of the most haunted locations in the world. Dark, forgotten buildings, crumbling hospitals, and deserted houses seem to hold the most chilling encounters. But recently I came across something unexpected, a haunting caught inside a plane. Now, a plane is the last place I'd expect to see something paranormal, but just watch this footage. This guy is a cabin cleaner, one of the people who clean airplanes after every flight. That night, he'd finished his final cleanup of the day, but instead of checking out and heading home, he decided to stay behind. I don't know if he was locked in or if he just wanted to sneak around for fun, but after everyone left, he pulled out his phone, turned on the flashlight and camera, and started walking down the empty aisle. At first, he was excited. You can even hear it in his voice as he sings, thrilled to have pulled this off. But his excitement did not last long. As he walked through the quiet, dimly lit plane, something terrifying happened. One of the seat belts, which was just buckled, suddenly unlatched and flung open on its own. Just look at that. How was this even possible? There was no one there, no sudden movement, no turbulence, yet the seatbelt snapped open by itself. They froze for a second and then bolted. The fear in his voice was instant. He ran away from the seat, and just like that, the footage cuts off. Now, here's the real question. What unbuckled that seatbelt? Was it just a mechanical malfunction, or did something unseen unbuckle it?
Let's go! Let's go! Right, sitting on the back of the plane. Y'all probably think I'm insane. Probably think I'm doing this for fame.
A woman in Mexico was out for a walk when she noticed this, a crystal-like rock floating in midair. There was no one around, no strings, no visible support, just the rock suspended as if defying gravity. It looked like something straight out of a fantasy movie or some kind of paranormal event. At first, it seemed unexplainable, but then look closely. Watch the movement. It doesn't just hover, it swings back and forth like a pendulum. Now, a pendulum swing happens when an object is suspended from a pivot, allowing it to move in a steady, rhythmic motion. I know what you're thinking. Lots of English. What does that actually mean? Well, simply put, this so-called floating rock might actually be tied to something, perhaps a neatly invisible fishing line, perfectly blending in with the background due to the lighting and camera angle. Or it could be hanging from a spider's web, caught in just the right position to create the illusion. The funny thing is, the woman didn't seem to notice any of this, which makes the whole thing even more intriguing. Anyway, what do you think?
Y aquí es donde se hace real el... What? ¿Esto es real? ¿Esto es real? A ver, anexen explicaciones científicas para...
Do you think we could ever spot more than one sun from our planet? And before you say no, take a look at this clip. The individual filming captures not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 suns in the sky. And this shouldn't be possible, but here it is. Some who saw the clip jovially stated that his phone was probably intoxicated, but beyond the jokes and teasing, what do you think is happening here?
5 suns. Раз. 2. 3. 4. 5. И радуга над нами.
This next footage went viral not long after it was posted online, and once you hear what happened, you'll understand why. It was shared by a mother who had installed a home security system in her house. In the first clip, we see her young son in the kitchen grabbing a snack. Everything seems completely normal until suddenly he freezes in place. Moments later, he starts screaming and bolts upstairs in a panic. According to the mother, her son came running to her, terrified, begging her to get the home security gun because he was convinced someone was inside the house. He was so shaken that she locked him and his siblings in a room and went to check the house himself, but strangely, there was no one there. The mother explained that she too heard what sounded like heavy footsteps right when her son barged into the room, so at that point, even she was convinced someone had broken in. Still shaken, they went back and reviewed the kitchen footage, and that's when things got weird. Right before her son runs, a voice can be heard faintly saying, "How did you find me?" But in the footage, there's clearly no one there. The entire family was shaken by the event, but her son was particularly affected, so much so that he refused to step foot in the kitchen after the incident. What do you think they captured? A ghost, an intruder, or something else entirely? While you share your thoughts on that, let's take a look at this clip uploaded by a young lad on one of the paranormal platforms.
Una puta nave, ¿no? Sí, es como una nave. Y ya está como inclinada. Estaba como así, yo veo. Ahorita bajadas tú, ¿no? Todo más arriba. Y está bajando, ¿no? Como a la altura del poste, pero acá el poste.
According to him, he was inside when his dad saw what he thought was a plane in the sky. He waited to hear the plane pass by, but that didn't happen. Perplexed and confused, he took a closer look, and that's when he noticed that something about this plane was off. He then asked his son to come out with his DSLR camera to take videos and clips. When he started, he zoomed into the last ability of the camera, and what he captured is what you guys see. Many in the community felt it was a UFO and commended him for his capture. Others, however, felt the story was too good to be true. It just gave them an itch they couldn't scratch. And when people have an itch they can't scratch of late, you know who they blame, right? If you said either AI or the government, you'd be correct. Anyway, you've seen the clip, so what's your take? Real UFO or a family's attempt for their 5 minutes of fame? And if you're wondering, this clip is actually fairly recent. And by recent, I mean as recent as the 4th of February 2025.
Nave, ¿no? Sí, es como una nave. Y ya está como inclinada. Estaba como así, yo veo. Ahorita bajas tú, ¿no? Todo más arriba. Y está bajando, ¿no? Como a la altura del poste, pero acá.
Some strange creature was spotted in this water. 2 large black things protruded from the surface. They looked like massive tendrils. They didn't look like tree branches or seaweed. They were too structured, too deliberate. If these appendages belonged to something beneath the water, then whatever it was had to be enormous. Could this be some kind of unknown aquatic creature, a mutant? What do you think? And don't say AI. Not everything is AI. But this could be, though. You know what? Let's move on to the next. Not everyone believes in the paranormal, but sometimes something so strange happens that it shakes even the most skeptical minds. A skateboarder was just at home going about his day when something truly unsettling occurred. His skateboard, which was hanging neatly on the wall, suddenly begins to swing back and forth violently. It wasn't just a little wobble, it was banging hard against the wall, making this loud screeching sound as it scraped along the surface. He stood there, frozen, staring at it. No one else was in the room, nothing had touched it. Now, this guy wasn't someone who believed in ghosts or spirits. In fact, he'd always brushed off anything supernatural. But at that moment, with that sound echoing through the room and his skateboard moving on its own, he had no explanation. Just a gut-deep chill and a sudden sense that maybe, just maybe, something else was there.
This one's getting about like 237, like 255.
We've come across a very interesting piece of footage that was shared by a family, and it's stirring up all kinds of reactions online. In the clip, someone is filming a sweet moment as a little girl runs across the lawn towards a man who has just stepped out of his car. As she reaches him, he picks her up and carries her in his arms, and then something strange happens. While holding the child and walking, something suddenly yanks at the man's bag, pulling it with enough force to catch attention. What's even weirder is how calm he remains. He barely reacts, as if this sort of thing doesn't surprise him at all. Now, this is where opinions start to split. Some people believe the footage might be staged. Just a few seconds before the bag is pulled, the man seems to glance sideways right where the tug happens, as if he were expecting it. But others argue the exact opposite. They claim the family has already experienced strange activity in the house and is used to it. That could explain why the man didn't seem bothered at all. Maybe it wasn't the first time something unseen had tried to make its presence known. So what do you think? Was this a genuine paranormal encounter or just a cleverly timed stunt?
Hi, how are you? I didn't know you were here.
Now moving on to something that's not an illusion. Take a look at this clip from... Wait, now that I think about it, we're not told where this was filmed. Well, that doesn't matter too much, does it? Anyway, in the clip, we see a man enjoying his time out at sea. This introduction is short-lived, and he appears to be trying to get onto his board and paddle away. Just in case you missed it, there's something in the water with him. It doesn't appear to be aggressively attacking him, but its presence is significant enough to make him uncomfortable to leave the water. I don't know about you, but when you look closely, it appears to have a large fishtail and flipping in the water. After doing a little digging around, it turns out the only reason the man left the water was because he felt threatened. He claims there were mermaids in the water with him. Looking at the clip again with the lens is to see mermaids. I must say that it does look slightly convincing. Now, some in the community were skeptical about this one because they didn't think mermaids could exist. If you've been on this channel long enough, then you should remember the clip of the scientific expedition that ran into a mermaid touching its submarine shield deep underwater. Now, bear in mind, those were scientists. Although they didn't call them mermaids, we all know what they were dealing with. That was not fake. So if we could have mermaids in that clip, what's to say there weren't mermaids messing with that young man from this clip? Well, maybe I'm overthinking it, but what do you guys think?
Let's get out here quick.
Still on unnatural things, we have little to no explanation for. Well, take a look at this clip, or rather, listen attentively. Did you hear that? It started off as something you'd expect to hear in the woods, and then escalated to something that you'd expect from a very large creature. This was recorded in Tennessee, where the one who sent it in states that his aunt, who recorded the clip, insists it's a Bigfoot. Any of you who is a Bigfoot enthusiast knows that Tennessee is considered a hot spot for Bigfoots. Knowing that, Aaron, our conspiracy theorist, was all for the possibility of this being legit. A certain team member, whose name shall not be mentioned, also did make a contribution to this one. He states that Tennessee is home to bears, most noticeably the American black. Given this, he's skeptical about the audio coming from Bigfoot. Now, I must say that this individual in question doesn't believe in Bigfoot, and I understand his logical standpoint, but think about it. If you were a Bigfoot trying to avoid being discovered, where would you live? By yourself in a place where no other animals but you live, or among animals that may have similar features as you, making it easy to blend in and disappear? Your guess is as good as mine. In Italy, there's a centuries-old Easter tradition that's both unique and thrilling to watch. Every year, people gather at the church to witness what's known as the Scoppio del Carro, or Explosion of the Cart. It's a festival spectacle rooted in deep symbolism and history. At the heart of this tradition is a long wire strung from the altar of the church to the cart packed outside. Attached to the wire is a small rocket-like device often designed to look like a dove or symbol of the Holy Spirit. The rocket is lit inside the church and blazes down the wire, shooting toward the cart filled with fireworks outside. If all goes well, it hits the cart, setting off a colorful and dramatic explosion of fireworks. Then, just as impressively, the rocket flies back into the church. According to tradition, if the dove successfully ignites the fireworks and returns to the altar, it's considered a sign of prosperity and good fortune for the coming year. And in the footage shared this year, it did exactly that. We've always heard how the Great Wall of China was built by the Chinese to keep their enemies out, but have you ever heard the theory that it was actually the enemies that built the wall to keep China in, aka protect themselves from China? Well, let that sink in a little bit. I know that's a really interesting twist, but before you shut it down, please listen to me. Historically, most of what we call the Great Wall was built by Chinese dynasties like the Qin, Han, and Ming to defend against nomadic tribes like the Zhonggu or later the Mongols. However, there's archaeological and historical evidence suggesting some walls, especially along the Silk Road in places like modern-day Xinjiang, could have been built by groups like the Zhonggu or local kingdoms to defend themselves against Chinese expansion. In a way, it flips the story, not just China defending against the barbarians, but sometimes smaller powers defending against China. The history we know and accept has been accepted for hundreds of years, but it's the small pieces of evidence that make us doubt. It shows how complicated the history actually was, way more than just one side good, one side bad. Beyond that, it also shows how potentially dangerous China could have been and still is. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments section. Some men stumbled upon this strange-looking bird perched on the ceiling of a building. This creature was huge, with a long neck and an unusual appearance. At first glance, its head resembled a heron, but something about it was off. Its feathers looked untamed and didn't match the sleek, well-groomed look of a typical heron. The coloration was also odd, with a mix of light blue, brown, black, and even some red. It's definitely not a common bird. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Any idea what it could be? Let us know in the comments section.
What is that?
I don't know.
These two girls were having the time of their lives late at night. They were walking down an empty street, laughing uncontrollably as they filmed themselves. From the way they were giggling non-stop, and the one dressed in black was even barefoot and smoking something, tells you they were feeling good, if you get what I mean. But then, everything changed in an instant. As they continued recording, they noticed something strange in the darkness ahead. So they zoomed in, and that's when they saw it. A pale, humanoid figure emerged from the shadows. At first, it was just a white shape, barely visible in the dark, but within seconds, a ghostly-looking person suddenly bolted toward them, charging straight at them. The girls screamed and took off running, but when they finally turned around to check, the figure had completely vanished. It was gone, just like that. Now, some people think this footage was just another hoax for the internet, but others believe these girls caught some sort of entity out there that night. And since they got it on camera, well, they can't have been seeing things then. So what do you think it was?
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a?
In just this year alone, about 4 to 5 whales have washed up on beaches, and sadly, all of them were found dead. Now, of course, this started to raise serious concerns. Some people believe this could be a warning sign that something is not right in the waters near San Francisco. But while it sounds ominous, there might be more than one explanation for what's going on. In many cases, whale deaths are caused by collisions with massive ships that can be fatal, but here's where it gets strange. Some of these recent whale deaths don't show any usual signs of trauma. That's what sparks more speculation. So what's really going on in the San Francisco waters? Could it be something environmental, something man-made, or maybe even something we don't yet understand? This man was out late one night filming by himself. He'd set up his camera on something nearby and was crouched down, casually wiping his face with his shirt, when something wild happened. Out of nowhere, this massive creature just leapt onto his head. The guy freaked out, jumped up in total panic, and tried to swat it off. You could see it crawling over him. It looked like a giant spider, not the kind you want as a pet. It kept moving around, almost like it was trying to settle in, until he finally flung it off into the darkness. After that, he did what anyone would do. He ran out of there as if his life depended on it. Now, we have to admit, watching it unfold is pretty hilarious, but also kind of disturbing. So what exactly was that thing? A mutated spider, some alien-looking insect, or just one of those giant jungle bugs that don't care about your personal space? Whatever it was big, it was fast, and it didn't belong on his head. Kicking off today's episode, we got a clip that has the paranormal community completely divided. Take a look. Can you tell what that thing swimming in the river is? No. Here's what we can see. It's pitch black, with a long tail swaying side to side as it glides effortlessly through the water. Most of its head stays submerged, making it hard to make out its face, but its full body is clearly visible beneath the surface. The most intriguing part, its limbs. There seem to be 4 of them, 2 positioned on its sides, resembling wings or flippers, and 2 more near the tail, folded downward. I've racked my brain trying to figure out what this could be, but honestly, I've no clue. Well, there's one thing, and before you call me crazy, hear me out. Its shape reminds me of a lot of Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. And apparently, I'm not the only one who thinks so. Many in the community have pointed out the striking resemblance. And that's not all. They believe we've got a real dragon on our hands. As interesting as that sounds, not everyone accepts it. Others in the community argue that the resemblance to the animated dragon is just too perfect. They believe this is nothing more than CGI trickery or sorcery, depending on which generation you're from. As expected, this debate has stirred up some serious friction. But now that you've seen the clip for yourself, what's your verdict? Real creature or digital hoax? Let's hear your thoughts. A woman was at home relaxing with her dog when something strange happened. Her dog suddenly froze, staring intensely into the corner of the room. At first, she didn't think much of it until the dog let out a low, menacing growl, and then came the shaking. She looked toward the corner but saw nothing. Confused, she grabbed her phone and pointed the camera at the same spot. Still nothing. But the dog was seeing something. It stepped down from the bed, looking cautiously toward the corner, barking and growling as if warning whatever was there to stay back. The tension in the room was suffocating. The woman is truly terrified. What did her dog see? And more importantly, was it still there? A researcher recently conducted a strange experiment on sleepwalkers, and what he discovered might just change how we understand the phenomenon. He found that many sleepwalkers tend to move directly towards specific spots or objects while sleepwalking, seemingly without reason, but here's where it gets really weird. He also discovered that certain metals, when exposed to sunlight, emit light frequencies that are invisible to the average person, but not to sleepwalkers. According to his theory, sleepwalkers might be able to see things the rest of us can't, like subtle lights. This could explain why they gravitate to certain places or repeat strange behaviors while asleep. So is sleepwalking just a brain glitch, or are sleepwalkers navigating a hidden layer of reality the rest of us can't see? So when I first saw the Pope sit in front of this, I was like, why would such a holy man be sitting before such an unholy-looking sculpture? Turns out the problem was me. I just didn't get the art. Meet The Resurrection by Pericle Fazzini. It's a massive bronze and copper sculpture located in the Paul V1 Audience Hall at the Vatican, completed in 1977. It depicts Jesus rising from a nuclear bomb crater in the Garden of Gethsemane, symbolizing both destruction and divine hope. Fazzini wanted to capture the chaos and violence of the modern world, especially fears of nuclear war, while showing Christ triumphing over it. The twisted, almost explosive forms around Christ give the sculpture a surreal, intense energy, blending suffering with resurrection. It's one of the Vatican's most striking and modern works of religious art. So what do you art-inclined people think? Did I just say art-inclined? Shouldn't it be artistic? I don't know. Let's move on. Everyone has things they look forward to when they move into a property. One thing no one, however, expects is to see crucifixes and Bibles all around. As much as I'd love to say I made this up, I didn't. The clip playing on your screen was recorded by the family. Initially, they were spooked out by the religious ornaments all over the house, but soon settled in nicely after a bit of research showed that the house was fine and nothing weird had ever been recorded there. That would, however, be short-lived when they started having strange experiences such as doors opening and shutting themselves. While everyone had their fair share, the pop on your screen had it worse than all of them. The reason? Well, it's almost always at home, and there's always the possibility that whatever is behind the strange occurrences may have a thing against dogs. Either way, the paranormal community believes we're dealing with a ghost, whereas others think it's a hoax. Your very own eyes have seen the clip, so what do you think it is? A man was home alone at night when he began to hear soft weeping coming from his kitchen. The sound was faint but unmistakable. It was a woman crying. Curious and a little uneasy, he grabbed his phone and started recording as he searched his house. The sobbing continued, and between the muffled cries, you can hear the words, "Help me," or something close to it. Then as he turned towards the window, he froze. There was someone or something standing outside. The figure was too blurry to make out, just barely visible through the glass. He stared for a moment, trying to process what he was seeing, but eventually he brushed it off and went back to bed. But that was a mistake. Not long after, loud banging erupted from his front door, heavy knocks as if someone was desperate to get in. So he got up to check, moving carefully toward the door. Then he pulled the curtain aside, but there was no one at the door. However, across the yard on the other side of the truck, a pale face was staring right at him. The moment their eyes met, the man panicked, slamming the curtain shut and locking himself in his bedroom. What was that face? A shapeshifter? A skinwalker luring him out? Or something even worse?
¿Qué es lo que quieres? Deja de molestar. ¿Qué es eso? Oh, no manches. Oh, no manches.
This footage was shared by a man who went hiking deep in the woods and stumbled upon something he never expected. Hidden between the trees was this massive creature that looked like a dogman. The thing was huge, its fur matted and wild, and if you look closely, you'll notice it doesn't resemble Bigfoot at all. Its snout is long and dog-like, more similar to a wolf's than a primate. You can feel how tense the moment was. The hiker didn't get too close, but just enough to catch this glimpse before leaving immediately. So is the dogman legend a lot more real than we thought? This next footage was taken by a cameraman who had been hired to film a Halloween party at a hotel in the UK. He arrived early to set up, and while testing his camera, he casually panned across the room to capture the table arrangements and decorations. At first, everything seemed normal until something strange happened. As he moved the camera, it briefly captured what looked like a woman in black, sitting quietly in a basket chair with her back turned to the camera facing the wall. It was an odd sight, but what made it truly unsettling was the fact that he was supposed to be alone in the room. Startled, he quickly turned the camera back toward her to get a better look, but she was gone. Confused, he rushed over to check the area, hoping to spot someone walking away, but there was no one. No footsteps, no sound of movement, no sign that anyone had ever been there. The room was empty. If the figure wasn't a guest or staff member, then what exactly did he capture? Many believe it could have been a ghost or some kind of entity tied to the hotel, and given that this happened on Halloween, the timing only made the whole encounter feel even eerier. What do you think he saw? Imagine being sent to jail for defending yourself. Sounds crazy, but it happens more often than you think. Many people have been convicted despite acting in self-defense, simply because the courts couldn't fully grasp the situation they were in. But now Florida has taken a major step forward in justice and technology. Courts in the state have begun using virtual reality to recreate crime scenes, allowing judges to experience what the defendant went through firsthand before making a final ruling. Look at the judges wearing VR headsets, stepping into the shoes of those on trial and seeing exactly what happened from their perspective. This is one of the most innovative uses of AI and technology in the legal system. And here's the best part. This method is specifically being used for self-defense cases. For the first time, courts can move beyond flat evidence and conflicting testimonies to truly understand the situation before passing judgment. Personally, I think this is groundbreaking and could lead to fairer rulings for people who have had no choice but to defend themselves. What do you think?
These people are coming into his space, right?
And he's backing up.
And he's backing
so
up.
as not to be injured like his wife and are being approached. And it's like a chest-to-chest encounter, no matter where you look.
Two friends had visited the Pilcomayo River near Taricha, Bolivia, for a relaxing day by the water. One of them took this picture of the other standing on a rock, posing against the breathtaking scenery. At first, there was nothing unusual, just a man enjoying the view. But later, when they looked at the photo closely, they noticed something chilling. Let's zoom in and take a better look. On the side of the river, near the bank, was another figure, one that was not supposed to be there. It was slender, its skin pale and almost gray. Its head was large, its eyes massive and black. This thing appeared to be translucent, almost see-through, as if it was barely there. It seemed to be walking along the riverbank, unaware that it had been captured on camera. Now, tell me, how do you explain this? Some are saying that this creature is some sort of interdimensional being, seeing how see-through it is, but others say it's just a hoax. But what are your thoughts? The ocean is easily one of the most mysterious places on Earth, so whenever something even slightly unusual shows up, people go into full panic mode. Recently, a man shared a video he took while flying over the ocean, somewhere between the Dominican Republic and Mexico. What caught his eye were these long yellowish lines stretching across the water. They looked completely out of place, almost like something artificial or otherworldly. He had no clue what they were, and he wasn't the only one. Once he posted the video, the internet went wild. People threw out all kinds of theories, from secret military experiments to alien traces to deep-sea monsters. But finally, the mystery was solved, and no, it wasn't a sea creature, a government cover-up, or a portal to another dimension. It was something called sargassum, which is a type of seaweed. Sargassum is a natural floating brown algae that can spread out in massive patches across the ocean's surface. While it's totally normal, especially in tropical regions, when seen from above, especially for the first time, it can look really eerie and unnatural. So while this one turned out to be nothing paranormal, it's still a great reminder of how easy the ocean can fool us and how quickly our minds can spiral into mystery. Here we have another possible UFO sighting, this time from Mexico. The video was originally shared on TikTok by a guy who spotted something strange in the night sky. The object was completely silent, no hum, no engine noise, just hovering up there. It looked almost triangular, but not quite. The sides weren't sharp or pointy, which makes it hard to say for sure what shape it truly was. As with many sightings like this, people were quick to label it a UFO, especially given how still and eerie it looked in the sky. But what do you think? Could this be something out of the ordinary or just a man-made craft? This next footage was taken in China, and what was captured is truly mind-blowing. Someone spotted a strange object flying in the sky. It's a round, flat craft with lights glowing around its rim. This is the classic UFO design we all know. Now, I've come across plenty of so-called UFO footage before, most of them are blurry, shaky, or obviously fake. But this one, well, this is different. The details are sharp, the movement is smooth, and there's something about it that makes it hard to dismiss as just another hoax. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. Would you consider this actual proof of extraterrestrial presence in China, or is there another explanation? A mother had set up a baby monitor in the nursery after noticing something strange. Every night at the same exact time, her baby would wake up crying hysterically. No matter how much she comforted the child by feeding, changing, and rocking, nothing seemed to help. So she took the baby to the doctor, but the results were clear. The child was perfectly healthy. Yet the strange pattern continued. Determined to find answers, she decided to stay up one night watching the monitor closely, and that's when she saw this. As her baby lay peacefully in the crib, a pale, horrible face emerged from the shadows. It had glowing eyes, and it simply watched the child. It didn't move, didn't make a sound, it just stared. And then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it vanished. The mother was terrified. It wasn't human for sure, but who could she even call? The police? What would she say? Those familiar with the paranormal believe they know what she saw. They claim it was a strigoi. It's a restless spirit from Romanian folklore. Strigoi are said to be the souls of those who died violently, unbaptized, or with unfinished business. They rise at night, seeking energy from the living. While some target adults, others are drawn to infants. It is said that the strigoi does not always attack immediately. Instead, it watches, choosing its victim, waiting until the child is weak enough to claim. The human body is a truly fascinating and sometimes bizarre thing. Believe it or not, there are people who have actually grown horns. Yup, real horn-like structures that sprout from the skin. Take a look at this woman. She appears to be growing a horn right out of her head. But don't worry, she's not a mutant or some kind of supernatural being. She has a rare condition known as a cutaneous horn. These strange spiky growths are made of the same material as our fingernails and hair, keratin. They can grow on different parts of the body, and while they look like something straight out of mythology, they're very real and documented in medical history. Sometimes they grow slowly over the years, and in some cases they pop up suddenly, shocking both doctors and the people who develop them. While many of them are harmless, some can be linked to underlying skin conditions, so they're not something to ignore. But seeing someone growing a horn on their head makes you wonder how much about the human body we understand. In Norway, a tech company by the name of X1 is making waves with a bold new move. They're set to deploy thousands of humanoid robots called Neo Gamma directly into people's homes. But here's the twist. These robots aren't being tested in labs. Instead, they'll be monitored and observed right inside actual homes, living side by side with humans and adapting to real-life human behavior in real environments. The reason is to help the robots learn and evolve naturally by being part of everyday life instead of running scripted simulations. Neo Gamma units are set to start rolling out later this year, and people are already split on how they feel about it. Some are excited, others a little uneasy. Because at the end of the day, it's one thing to see robots in labs, but living with them, well, that's a whole other story. I came across this very odd-looking footage that left me completely baffled. In the video, there's a pile of black turmeric on the ground. A hand appears, places a padlock beside the turmeric, and locks it. Then the same hand sticks some kind of twig into the pile. Another hand places a folded piece of paper near the turmeric along with a coconut. At first, nothing happens, but then things start moving on their own. The coconut slowly begins to rotate as if being turned by an invisible force. Moments later, the piece of paper suddenly catches fire without any visible spark. Then to top it all off, the locked padlock unlocks by itself. I had no idea what was happening, but then I came across a comment explaining that this had to do with the black turmeric. Black turmeric is used in various traditions for medicinal purposes, and some even believe it has a connection to witchcraft or magic. Now, while there's no solid scientific proof that black turmeric has any supernatural properties, it is said to contain some level of carbon, which could, in theory, explained by the paper ignited. But what about the moving coconut or the unlocking padlock? Is it a coincidence, a trick, or something else entirely? Did you know that we've been eating yoga mats for years? Yeah, yoga mats. A food blogger uncovered a shocking truth about a fast food bread. Turns out Subway's bread contained a chemical called azidocarbonamide, the same substance used to make plastic products like yoga mats and shoe soles. When this information went public, people were outraged, and rightfully so. The backlash was so intense that Subway eventually removed the chemical from their bread, but many other companies still use it today. Oddly, this chemical is banned in Europe and other countries, but in the US, it's completely legal. Imagine that. While other countries protect their citizens from consuming plastic-like additives, Americans are still unknowingly chewing on yoga mat chemicals. And somewhere right now, I'm certain someone is biting into a yoga mat sandwich. Have you ever had one of your bowls move while you were setting the table for dinner? If you answered no, that would make two of us. For the lady in this video, however, the same could not be said. She was arranging items on the table when one of the bowls started to move. As is expected, she was confused and tried to understand what was happening, but try as she might, she couldn't. She just couldn't understand what was happening. She later uploaded the footage online seeking answers, and while some said they would have had a heart attack if it were them, others pointed out that the table had to have water or some liquid on it. This, according to them, would make the bowl slide along and look as if it's been possessed, yet there was nothing like that happening. I must admit this does sound logical, but some in my team think this might be a real possession, but what do you guys think? Lately, there's been a rise in alleged sightings of prehistoric creatures around the world, and one of the most talked about is this strange footage someone shared. In it, you see what looks like a giant centipede-like creature crawling through a forest. People quickly claimed it was an arthropleura, an actual prehistoric arthropod that lived millions of years ago. These creatures were real and could grow to massive sizes, some up to 8 feet long. But when you compare this video to scientific depictions of the arthropleura, something feels off. The creature in the video has too many legs and the movement looks almost unnatural. Some say it's just AI generated, others are convinced that some ancient species might still be lurking out there hidden deep in the forests or jungles. But what do you think? Is this a real prehistoric comeback or just another convincing piece of internet trickery? This creature was captured by a deep-sea camera. It looks like a strange brown, round, stone-like object, except it has a wide-open mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth and a tail. I know you're just itching to type AI footage, but believe it or not, it's not. Now, this isn't edited or a hoax. This is actually a real fish. It's known as the anglerfish. Anglerfish are some of the most fascinating and eerie creatures in the ocean. They live in the deep sea where sunlight doesn't reach, and they use a bioluminescent lure to attract prey. Their terrifying appearance is perfectly adapted to the dark, harsh environment. Talk about looking like what you've been through. Back in 2024, 2 men were found dead in the Washington forest, reportedly from exposure. Their families grew concerned after they failed to return home, prompting a search party to be sent out in Skamania County. 60 men, along with search dogs, helicopters, and drones, combed the snowy, freezy landscape. Given the extreme conditions, it was dangerous for anyone to stay out overnight. Sadly, the bodies of the 2 men were found, and they were identified as 36-year-old and the other was 57. But here's where things get strange. These men weren't just lost hikers, they had gone out in the woods on a Sasquatch hunt. While the official report states that they died from exposure, it leaves an eerie question lingering. What exactly were they exposed to out there? Was it truly just the cold, or did they encounter something far more unsettling? The paranormal community believes it's the latter, but what say you? Meditation is easily one of the most fascinating practices in the world. You'd be surprised by the kind of things people have achieved through deep meditation, mastering their minds and training their bodies to reach extraordinary states. Take this yogi, for instance, sitting completely still in the snow deep in meditation. Snowflakes gently fell on him, piling up, but he didn't flinch. No warm clothing, no visible discomfort, just stillness. It's said that some yogis can control their body heat through meditation, allowing them to withstand freezing temperatures without feeling the cold at all. There's also the story of a man who decided to keep his arm raised for the rest of his life as a spiritual offering. The first few years were painful beyond belief, but through meditation and discipline he got used to it. Over time his body adapted, and that became his new normal. Then there's the tale of a Buddhist monk who set out to walk over 10,000 kilometers in 100 days, training both his mind and body to stay in a constant state of flow. Every step was part of a meditative ritual, and he did it without faltering. One of the most astonishing stories is that of a teenage boy who reportedly meditated under a tree for months without food or water. Whether or not you believe it, many say he was successful, emerging with his body intact and his focus unbroken. These people don't just practice meditation the way most of us do at home. Their version is intense, immersive, and goes far beyond relaxation. It's as if they tap into another layer of existence, a deep, unshakable flow state where their limits of mind and body are pushed beyond what seems possible. Can you challenge yourself to do these things? Remember Dolly, the cloned sheep? She was the first mammal ever cloned using advanced DNA technology, but here's the wild part: that same tech has now been used to reverse human aging. Researchers recently took the skin cells of a 53-year-old woman and reversed them to behave like they were just 23. That's right, they turned back her biological clock by 30 years. By reprogramming her DNA using techniques similar to those used in cloning, scientists were able to reset the cells, making them younger at a molecular level. The results are mind-blowing. Her cells didn't just look younger, they functioned younger. It's not just full body age reversal just yet, but if we can do this to skin cells now, what's next? Entire organs? The whole body? We might be a lot closer to anti-aging breakthroughs than we think. Would you try it if it became available? A group of men were out at the beach when they noticed something strange on the shore. At first, it looked like seaweed or debris, but as they got closer, they realized it was a fish. They scattered across the sand, lifeless. Something about them looked unnatural. Their skin was peeling, almost like it had been burned or eaten away by something in the water. Their eyes were completely gone, leaving behind empty sockets. Some had patches that looked rotten, yet their bodies remained almost intact. So what really happened here? But is it even safe for these men to be walking in that water? If whatever killed these fish is still out there, what's stopping it from affecting humans too? On this channel, we've seen clips where UFOs shoot beams, hide in clouds, and even cloak themselves. For the first time, however, we've got this clip that shows something else entirely. It shows a UFO shooting something that looks like a chemtrail back down to Earth. If this clip is to be believed, the big question everyone should be asking themselves is why? Why will they do this? If you are here for the first time and hearing the chemtrail conspiracy for the first time as well, it's a popular theory that suggests that the white trails left behind by some aeroplanes are actually chemical or biological agents deliberately sprayed into the sky by governments or secret organizations. Believers of the conspiracy argue that these so-called chemtrails are used for weather modifications, mind control, or even population control. I know what you're thinking. This was shot by an alien ship. Well, there are some variations of the theory that link the phenomenon to extraterrestrial influence. Certain conspiracy circles claim that chemtrails are part of an alien-human agenda, either to terraform Earth for non-human species or to subtly alter human biology for future alien contact. Others suggest that chemtrails mask UFO activity by creating artificial cloud cover. While no credible scientific evidence supports these ideas, they remain popular in online fringe communities, often intersected with other alien-related conspiracies like government cover-ups of alien extraterrestrial encounters. Yeah, that sounds like a lot, but you've got a clip here suggesting it might be the actual truth. You've seen the clip, you've heard the conspiracy. So what do you think? A woman shared this strange footage she took after spotting something fuzzy and bizarre on a car. This little thing was crawling slowly across the surface. At first, they had no idea what it was, so they just recorded it and shared the video online out of curiosity. But as cute and fluffy as this tiny creature looks, you should never, ever touch it. This thing is known as a puss caterpillar. Yes, it sounds harmless, but it's one of the most venomous caterpillars in North America. Those soft-looking hairs are rather venomous spines that can cause intense pain, swelling, nausea, and even more severe reactions in some people. So the next time you see one of these fuzzy little creatures, admire it from a distance, because this is one cute critter you definitely do not want to pet. This video dates back to 2019. Some friends were out by the ocean in Hawaii when they witnessed something they will never forget. Hovering just above the water was a glowing orb of light. What made it even stranger was that its reflection on the ocean wasn't steady. It was blinking, almost as if it was signaling or scanning. They looked around, trying to make sense of it, but there was no sound or propellers, nothing to suggest this was any kind of ordinary aircraft. To them, it felt like this orb was searching for something beneath the waves. It didn't move like a drone, it didn't act like anything they'd seen before, and that's why they are convinced that this might have been a real UFO encounter. This picture was taken on January the 7th, 2025, by a man driving through Nantao County in Taiwan. As he was on the road, something strange caught his eye in the sky. Peeking out from behind the clouds was an unusual, rectangular-shaped object. Most of it remained hidden, but the part that was visible had a distinct, unnatural structure. Skeptics who saw the image were quick to dismiss it, attributing the sighting to a fata morgana, a well-known atmospheric illusion that can distort objects and make them appear to float or take on bizarre shapes. However, not everyone is convinced. Some believe this is not just an optical trick, but rather a UFO using the clouds as cover. This wouldn't be the first time reports have surfaced about unidentified objects hiding behind or even camouflaging as clouds. In fact, this theory has been widely discussed in UFO communities, with some pointing out how crafts may use advanced cloaking technology to blend into the sky. The idea even mirrors scenes from the movie Nope, where a UFO disguises itself as a cloud to avoid detection. So what do you think? Is this just a natural illusion, or could there really be a UFO up there? A disturbing video is making the rounds, showing a man who recently suffered a serious accident at the gym. He was on test day performing a bench press when the barbell slipped from his hands and came crashing down directly onto him. The footage is shocking and difficult to watch, but it highlights a reality many of us often overlook. Accidents like this happen far more often than we think, especially when proper precautions with heavy equipment are ignored. This incident is just one example of the risks that exist even during routine workouts. For anyone watching, this serves as a powerful reminder to stay alert, prioritize safety, and advocate for stricter gym protocols. By raising awareness about incidents like this, we can help prevent future injuries and make gyms safer for everyone.
I, for one, know exactly how that feels, as I managed to drop a 10-kilogram weight right on my foot once upon a time and broke it. So, yeah, I'm careful as hell these days, I can tell you. Anyway, with that, we end today's episode. Thank you for staying with us.
Before you go, are there clips and videos you think we should have featured by now that we haven't? Well, the good news is you can share them with us and we'll post them crediting you. Please send any such footage, including ones you recorded yourself, to us via classifiedcaptures@gmail.com. We'll do our thing and include it in our next episode. We can't wait to receive what you have.
I've been Steve. This has been Classified Captures. Now do us a favor. Share this with as many people as you can. I don't care if you don't like them. Share it anyway. Hell, just give us some love, because we love you.